Hello everyone. Today I want to talk to you about the herb cayenne. It is one of my favorite herbs to work with, as much as it is a very potent herb, and you have to really balance it out sometimes because for me cayenne, and I have, let's see if you can see that, I don't have much left of my homegrown cayenne, which I have some ground up in powder, which honestly to me is the preferred way to work with it, is a finely ground powder. But I grow my own cayenne. It's very easy to grow cayenne. You could even grow it in small pots in your window. It is very simple herb as long as it gets enough sunlight and enough water. It'll grow and keep putting off peppers as long as you take care of it. You know, it's very simple. So, and to me, that's one of the best ways to connect to an herb is to grow it. And this is just my personal opinion. If you don't grow your own herbs, it's not like I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. You can connect to an herb whether you grow it or not, but there's a more personal connection, in my opinion. When you do grow it, you find out so much more about the herb or the pepper or, you know, what have you itself when you grow your own. So cayenne is very spirited. To me, the spirit of cayenne is like a small little wildfire spirit. It is very unencumbered, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. It is very fiery. It is very wild, you know. So when you use cayenne, you want to balance it out with other things. It's earth, usually for me, is one of my favorite things to balance it out, because, you know, a good little border of earth around any fire, you know, if you camp or build fires in your backyard, what have you, a nice border of earth will contain that fire where it still has its free spirit and it's still, you know, beautiful, but it won't get out of control. So cayenne is one of the herbs that is an ingredient in our new Moon Love Conjuring event, which will be August 2nd. That is Tuesday, y'all, like 2 days from now. Two, no, not 3, 2. Anyway, so when it comes to love, cayenne is, again, it's got that passion, that wildness, you know, and you want that, but again, it's a fiery herb, very fiery herb. So as much as it may not be like the spiciest of all the peppers, it still has that heat, that it's one of those peppers that you don't really notice the heat until after you've ingested it, and then it's just like, oh, I feel that right here at the back of my throat, you know. So and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, because, you know, if you use too much, it can get pretty spicy. And also it's one of those herbs that the longer it sits, the hotter it gets. So if you use it, say, in chili, a lot of people, especially in this area, they use it a lot in chili. If that chili, let's say you don't eat it all, you save it the next day, it's going to be slightly hotter, because cayenne just gets hotter as it sets in anything. So whenever you use it in love workings, when you use it in love spells, I can't talk, y'all, I don't know. Anyway, when you use it in love spells, you want to temper it with something else, because the longer it sets, the hotter it gets, the more it burns, the faster it burns, and the more it'll have a life of its own and kind of just burn through anything. So you don't want it to just burn the love right on up. You know, you don't want it to make things happen too quickly, because when it comes to love, no one wants anything quick. You know, especially when it comes to passion and sex and lust. You don't want that to burn out too fast. But when you add just a little pinch of red pepper or cayenne, it it's just enough to make it spicy, just enough to heat it up, just enough to add that passion. So, and like I said, when we temper it with things like earth, like we're using sage as well, and it's a very earthy element, at least in my opinion. Some people relate it to air, but I relate it to earth. It temperaments, it adds that equilibrium there with red pepper or cayenne, to where it's not so out of control, and it's not going to burn itself out, or burn up things that you don't necessarily want to be burned away. You don't want the love factor to be burned away. You just want to add to that. So to me, that's what cayenne is very good for. It adds spice, as long as you remember to not get carried away with it. And one way that you can get carried away with it, if you want, is in road opening spells, because it burns through obstacles. So if you're just designing a spell just for road opening, not for road opening and increasing money, or road opening and creativity, if you're just using it to open the road so you can receive things, to burn through obstacles, then you get pretty wild with cayenne, because that's what it's going to do. It's going to burn through those obstacles. It's going to burn through them very quickly. That is to relate it to something more on the physical realm. Cayenne helps with removing blood clots, thins the blood a little bit, and it basically burns through those blood clots, in a way of speaking. And the way it helps with digestion is that it helps process those foods, kind of like it's burning through the foods that you ate. So that is one of the ways you can associate it with the physical attributes of cayenne pepper, and how it helps us in healing is it burns through things. So it's perfect for road opening spells. You can burn through those obstacles, and so you can get a little heavy-handed with cayenne in that way, because you want those obstacles to be burned down completely. Now, granted, there's always a catch-22 with things like that, because sometimes obstacles are put there for a purpose, for a reason, and if you burn through them, then you don't learn that lesson, and so you wind up getting in a cycle of repetitive behavior. So, again, to each their own. You know your life better than anyone else, and if there's something blocking your way, and you don't feel like it's something that's necessarily beneficial to your situation, and definitely cayenne is amazing in that way. It will burn through those obstacles so you can receive whatever it is you need to receive, whether it's like financial help, or fast cash, or creativity if you have a creative block, whatever you need to receive. The limits are really well, there's not any. It's all based in your own creative ideas on how you can use a road opening spell. So it is wonderful for that. Again, if you're a little heavy-handed, it's not going to have that much of a detrimental effect on the spell when it's a road opening spell. So another way you can use it, another spell working, you can use cayenne in its creativity. Again, sort of similar to the road opening spell, it can help remove blocks, but it can also spark that creative fire. Anytime you think of, or at least anytime I think of fire, I think of the wand suit in tarot, which has a lot to do with creative attributes. So, and of course, just creativity in general. Most people who create anything are very passionate. They're very, it's almost like their child. If you talk to any artist who's created this masterpiece of art, something that they really believe in, it is just like talking to them about their kid. They're very passionate. They have that fire. So fire and creativity go hand in hand. in a lot of ways. And again, this is one of those things where you want to kind of go easy on it because you don't want to burn up, you know, so bright that you just burn yourself out. So you can use it in jump-starting your creativity, give yourself a little energy in a very creative way. You know, you can add it to any kind of spell to enhance that. And it's very beneficial, you know, and it can also join you to other creative people if that's something that you want to pursue. You know, if you think that one of the things that will benefit your creativity is having another person to bounce ideas off of, and you know, that's a wonderful thing, especially if you can connect to someone who is like-minded but has a lot of different ideas than you do. You know, you don't necessarily want someone to boost your creativity that thinks exactly or extremely similar to the way you do, because then you're just going to pretty much come up with the same ideas. You know, that's one of the reasons why I believe that Michael and I work so well together. He thinks about things in one way, and I think about them in a similar yet different way, so we can bounce different ideas and have different perspectives, you know, added in there. So when you find someone like that, you can use Cayenne to connect you, you know, to their creative fire and kind of give it a boost. So it works wonders in things like that. It really helps you to rekindle that fire, you know, rekindle that creativeness. So like I said, our New Moon Love Conjurer event is August the 2nd. I will have a link, and somewhere through here I'll also have a couple of links or little cards showing you different videos from myself and from Michael Blackthorne, the Deviant Witch, on all these herbs. I think I have one and all these herbs and spices that we're going to be using in the New Moon Love Conjuring spell. I have one more to do. I believe it's apples, and I will record that video tomorrow and release that. And we really look forward to everyone joining in on this event and seeing how it flows and finding out how people connect to other people's energy, even though it is a spell that's going to be cast, that's a very individual spell. We're all going to raise energy together. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about other people's experiences during this event. I think it's going to be very unique and very interesting and a lot of fun. So that is August 2nd. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to tell y'all. There was something, but it just left my mind, so who knows what it was. If I remember, I'll put it in the description box below. So that's it, guys. That is Cayenne. Oh, I know what I was going to say. If you have any interesting ideas and uses for Cayenne, I would love to hear about it. So comment on the YouTube video so we can have a discussion. I would love to know how you use Cayenne, what you think about Cayenne, if you grow your own Cayenne, and if you feel like growing it sort of has changed your perception of how to use Cayenne versus just, you know, buying ground Cayenne, say, from the store, or buying it from a source that you trust. So I would love to hear your opinions about this. If you have any questions, just anything, please comment in the video below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Also, the Deviant Witch is an amazing channel that you should subscribe to as well, along with Deviant Witchery. We just did a video on Taurus and working with Taurus energies in magic. Not just necessarily, you know, centering it on astrology, but actually utilizing those energies to work with in spellcraft. So check that out. I will put a link to that below as well, and you'll have a wonderful day. Bye.